Good evening. My name is Mr. Bruce Ismay22, and tonight we are at Media Studio. Today we are glad to have the Unionist leader and possibly future Prime Minister Harold M. Rothschild. Harold, welcome.
Good afternoon, Bruce. How are you doing?
I'm grand. How are you doing?
Not bad, not bad.
So, Harold, as you might have known, the country's now in chaos with a Lord's government after the King's Speech failed last week. So, could you tell us exactly, what caused this crisis and who you blame for this?
I don't think there's a crisis right now. I'm quite happy with the Lord's government personally. I think they're doing a very good job. But well, I mean, the King's Speech it didn't fail. There was an amended version that passed, and I amended that. Well, recently you've seen that the parties have tried to blame it on us, but it's their failure that they couldn't pass their version of the King's Speech. It's their fault. So it's the two parties that were in government at the time. It's their fault that their King's Speech didn't pass. And as much as they try and spin it, it's quite frankly just their fault.
Yeah. In recent pirate chat releases, they've blamed Mr. Bruce Ismay 22 and Drac. Do you think those two people are responsible for all of this?
Well, no, because it can't be Drac's fault because Drac was on my side of the house. If they were expecting Drac to vote against, if they were expecting Drac to vote for their King's Speech, they were mistaken because Drac was one of my MPs. You came to your own conclusion. That was your decision. But at the end of the day, as the leader of the government, Boston Man should claim responsibility for it. And the individuals that are in charge, it's their responsibility. At the end of the day, anything that happens in the Pirate Party, in that government, the Prime Minister will be inevitably responsible. And that's just how it works.
So, Harold, over the past couple of weeks, almost a whole week now, the Pirate Party has been releasing scathing attacks on multiple people that they view as traitors or snakes, and I believe they've also started something called Clown of the Day. So I would like to ask, do you think this type of criticism from the Pirate Party is at all necessary when, we've seen almost two governments collapse and now a Lord's government?
Well, I think you've taken it down the complete incorrect route. I'm just not a fan of politics being played like that. I don't like DMs being leaked. I don't like a channel being blown up with, one individual just being slated in a channel and then another one being slated another day. I don't think that's the right way to do politics. You might have seen that there was some Drac posted and something that I thought was wrong, and he posted it under the Unionist Party banner, and as a result, Drac got sacked. I sacked Drac as a result of that because that's not the politics that I want to play. If Boston Man and the Pirate Party want to play that kind of politics, that's their choice. I'm not a fan of it. I don't think there are many people that are a fan of it, but it's up to them. I don't like it. I think that's about it.
Neither do I. Neither do I. I prefer the old school kind of politics. But Harold, in a recent GB News poll, you are now the most popular party with around 50% approval, followed behind the Nationals, and shockingly, the Social Democrats and Pirates are down around 60% disapproval. So, Harold, can I ask, you know, people are just very, very much not interested in politics. We've seen people, frustrated with the government, collapsing or coalitions breaking up. If you were elected prime minister in May, what exactly would you do differently?
But my promise would be to effectively represent everyone in Parliament, every single person that's voted, whether it be for my party, whether it be for another party, I don't care. I will represent you in Parliament, and I will make sure that we have a government that delivers for the full term, because that's one thing that we've missed out on. The last government that lasted for the full 2 months was the Unionist National Government, sorry. And after that, there was the Unionist Pirate Government. The Pirate Party made the unfortunate decision to pull out that, which I thought was completely wrong. I think what Britons really need is a stable government that's from the Commons. Because right now, I get why there's a Lord's government, because the Commons can't put together a stable government. And I think it's the responsibility of me. If I win this next election, it will be my responsibility to ensure that there is a 2-month-long stable government. And I want to make sure that occurs. I will try my very best if I'm elected as the largest party or I become the prime minister. I will try my very best to ensure that there is a 2-month-long government that delivers for everyone, whether you voted for me or not.
Yes. So, Harold, we also wish to discuss your thoughts on, as you know, as you know, that, the coalition, you were speaking about how your coalition with the National. So can I ask, what is your view on the National Party and the other parties? Because, what we've seen is a giant shift, politically over the past couple of months, party switching allegiances, all that stuff. So if you were in government, which party would you likely go for? Is the Nationals an option, Social Democrats, or even the Pirates?
I think the answer to that question is really obvious. I don't see the point in answering it, but I will sort of change tack right now and say that I'm happy with a good chunk of the parties. I'm just not happy with certain individual conduct within those parties. I think it was very obvious that the Unionist Party would go for the National Party. It was a successful 2 month government.
I
I'm good friends with the people in the National Party. I'm also good friends with people in the Social Democrats, good friends with people in the Pirate Party. But yeah, depends. Any party that can deliver for the full 2 months, I would be happy to work with. But right now, it appears that it's solely the National Party that will help support us in this endeavor. But if other parties are willing to do so, that would be excellent. I'm perfectly happy to work with them.
Okay, so Harold, you led. So Jesus, I'm losing my train of thought here. So for some newbies who might be watching, could you explain which party you're from and just what you stand for?
I'm from the Unionist Party. I lead the Unionist Party. I joined the Unionist Party in early 2023, so it's been about just over 2 years now. I'm the father of the House of Commons. I've been in the House of Commons for almost 3 years now, and it's been a whale of a time. I think I know how to navigate the issues of politics. I know how to effectively deliver for you all in government. I've had experience of government in a long time. Our cabinet is full of individuals that are willing and ready to deliver. So for people that aren't aware of the political system, I would advise them to vote for the Unionist Party. But make your own
So
choice. Look at
would you
each
say you're
party's manifesto and make your own choice.
so would you say you're an experienced politician who can lead this country?
Yes, of course I'll say that. But
So
I think that question is quite an odd question to ask, because anyone you ask that question to, they will say they are, and I don't think it's right for me to go around saying that. I think every person should look at the situation from their own perspective and come to their own conclusion. So if there are people who aren't particularly aware of party positions, I would advise them to read manifestos and find out what the party stands for, and then come to their own conclusion at the end of it. It's not right for me to just go around saying vote for the Unionist Party. I think every individual should come to their own conclusion.
fair enough. So Harold, you know, can we just ask, if there is anything major you would do in government that hasn't been introduced in a previous government under, your predecessor Michael M. Rothschild? Would you do anything different to him if you were elected into government?
I think Michael had an excellent term in government. He lasted the full 2 months. We delivered a lot in government that time. I would do a lot very similar to the way that Michael M. Rothschild delivered. I wouldn't really say there'd be much difference to the way that Michael M. Rothschild had delivered in government, because Michael M. Rothschild had an excellent term in government, and I also want to have an excellent term in government if I am elected to be in government. Well, one of our key policies from the last election manifesto was to establish the disclosure and barring service. But I believe the Lord's government is working on establishing that, which I'm very happy for, because I don't want things to be taken political. And yeah, I'd say my approach will be very similar to the approach of the British Union, the approach of Michael M. Rothschild. Great leaders that have led the country through difficult scenarios. I would endeavour to deliver like they did.
Yes, now can we move on to the UKFO? In recent weeks, they've made a bit of a resurgence, not only shooting up more people on Westbridge, it just feels like the experience is being ruined with them constantly, shooting you on sight. So what would you do about them in government?
My priority will always be to stand behind the emergency services, to stand behind the Metropolitan Police Service. And any decision that I will take if I am elected will be with them in mind. If the Met decide, the balance is swayed too far in the favour of them or too far in the favour of UKFO, I would absolutely try my best to strengthen the Metropolitan Police Service, strengthen their powers, make sure they have the adequate means to tackle UKFO. Because in reality, an OCG being active in Westbridge it's good for activity. We saw that when I had my own little convoy around Westbridge, and it was chaos nightmare thanks to UKFO, but it was fun in a way, I guess. I think I will stand behind what the emergency service opinion is because that's my responsibility. I think my party has always been behind the emergency services, behind the Metropolitan Police Service, and whatever their perspective is, I will back 100%.
Of course. So, Harold, I do have some questions from people in Westbridge if you'd like to hear them.
Yeah, go on.
So, some people are asking, what would you do to increase activity in Westbridge?
I think one of the key things that we delivered when it was Unionist national government was Westbridge Town Hall. And if I was elected, I will try my absolute best to work with Starfish and all other individuals involved with Westbridge Town Hall to have more events. It's the events that drive activity that make it more fun. There was a great riot event when we were there. I want to have more riot events, more events in general, more things for everyone to do. It's fun. Yeah. So I think Westbridge Town Hall is a key tool that any government that comes in should be able to use and manipulate. And I promise that if I'm elected into government, that's what I would do.
Okay. So another person asks, it's harder and harder now to it's harder and harder to register businesses in this country without having to wait a good while to, try to, once you submit it, it takes a good long time for, the Treasury to come back to you, and mostly they have refused a lot of good ideas for businesses. So my question is, this person's question is, my apologies, is what would you do to make it easier for businesses to be allowed to form and, build up?
Well, one of our key policies from last election, and we will continue to try and endeavour to achieve this if we're elected now, is to introduce pre-registration checks and to give companies advance warning within the first 24 hours whether their company would be accepted or denied. Obviously, there will be some wiggle room around that, but I think companies need more clarity as they go into it. So I think pre-registration checks is a key policy of ours to make it much simpler, much easier. So yeah, I think that's about it.
So Harold, I just want to go back on the Pirate Party just for a good few minutes. So again, we're talking about the chats. What would you say to someone? Sorry, I just want your thoughts on what the Pirate Party's been saying over the past couple of, almost an entire week, because we've seen them, kind of. I mean, every party has been trying. Like Nationals and Social Democrats, even yourself, have tried to avoid such, attack lines, but the Pirates seem to be doing otherwise. So, can I ask, what's your opinion on that?
Well, as I said before, I'm not a fan of the way that the politics have been played in that Pirate Party channel. It's not something I would do if that's the Pirate Party's decision to pursue. It's not something that I'm a fan of. I don't like leaking DMs. I don't like attacks every day. I don't think it looks good at all, the Pirate Party, but it's their decision to make. It was their choice to do. So if they want to do it, it's up to them. It's not something I would do. I think I've said that before as well.
All right. So, Harold, I was just again. Some people are wondering. Of course, you've put. I was just want. What? Jesus, I cannot speak today, people. God Almighty. But Harold, I just want to. If there was a person who was just joined, just registered to vote, and have come back to watch this video in the election, what would you say to them? To tell them that the Unionist Party is the best.
Well, I wouldn't explicitly say to them that the Unionist Party is the best. I would tell them to read every party's proposal, read every party's manifesto, and come to an informed conclusion of their own. My opinion is, at the end of my own reading of all of that, is that the Unionist Party is the best. Obviously, I'm going to say that because I'm a Unionist Party leader, but if anyone's just registered to vote, make up your mind yourself. Don't listen to what the parties have just said. Don't blindly listen to the attack lines. Come to your own informed conclusion at the end of it. And I'm sure that at the end of the day, you'll decide to go with us. But if you decide to go anywhere else, that's completely your choice, and you'll have the confidence at the end of it that you made that you came to that conclusion off your own back, not based off what anyone else said. So read the information yourself, come to your own conclusion, and I'd be more than happy to welcome you into the Unionist Party.
So, well, thank you for your answer, Harold. Now, I just want to move on to, specific policies like foreign. So there are some people on Westbridge who read the manifestos, and now over the past couple of days there has been, I've spoken to a few people, and they do say they do want to join the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. I was just wondering if I can get your thoughts on that.
Well, that wholly depends on how the diplomatic service view it. This isn't foreign office policy. It's not particularly my forte, but I don't think we have a specific concrete position. We will look to. I will look to work with the diplomatic service, the diplomatic staff, the foreign secretary, whoever's involved, if I'm elected, see if it's a viable option, because I don't want to force the diplomatic service into something that they don't want to do. So it's up to them at the end of the day.
All right, Harold. Let's just now we're just going to move on to the finishing conversation. So, Harold, I was just wondering, over the past couple of weeks, we've seen, two elections where, there has been a lack of voters in. So, do you think, more people should get out and vote?
Yes, obviously I'm going to say that, but I fully understand why turnout's gone down. Election after election, there's elections during school periods, and now the next election is going to be around about the time that individuals are being examined. So I won't be surprised if turnout goes down even further, but I think that's just how it is. There's not much I can do about it. But if you're able to vote, if you're able to